fight with Mercedes is just sinking deeper and deeper into its own problems, but that is not a story that we aren't used to seeing this season. However, the Brackley-based team managed to rack up some decent results in the past couple of races, which is why we hoped they had a legitimate chance to win at least one race this season. That was the team's goal according to Toto Wolff and every high authority on the team. But after Singapore GP, it became evident that the team is far away from achieving this goal, and what Hamilton and Wolff said after the race won't be a pleasant thing to hear for the Mercedes F1 fans. Before we dive deep into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like our video and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll constantly be up to touch with our latest videos and the most recent news in the F1 world. Before we tell you about the bad news that Mercedes will face for the rest of the season, let's elaborate a bit about Mercedes' 2022 season and explain why they are in this position in the first place. As you already know, Mercedes has had a decent share of struggles in the 2022 season. The 2021 season was a truly demanding one, and we've seen a toe-to-toe battle between Hamilton and Verstappen. The 7-time world champion saw his championship being taken away from him in a controversial way, which is something that left many F1 fans aggravated. Nevertheless, he came back for a revenge season, and it was evident from day one that 2022 isn't going to be that season. Although Hamilton said that he wants to continue the collaboration with Mercedes, it's evident that the team has struggled a lot when it comes to the performance of its car. The aerodynamical phenomenon of porpoising is something that really hurt the W13, and on multiple occasions, Hamilton has described the car as a wild rattlesnake that needs to be tamed. We remember how he got out of the W13 after the Baku GP, where he was literally limping and wasn't certain for the Montreal GP, which was just 7 days later. Many might say that this is just a bluff to make a call to the FIA to intervene regarding the porpoising rules, but even if this is the case, Mercedes just cannot catch a break when it comes to the aerodynamical settings of its car. But if you see the table, you'll notice that both Mercedes drivers have decent points. That is because the car hasn't suffered from reliability issues like Ferrari or Red Bull, and on that factor only, the team was able to capitalize on multiple podiums this season. However, Mercedes have found some pace from Silverstone onwards, and they managed to finish P2 and P3 on 2 occasions this season, in France and Hungary. What was even more motivating for them is that in Hungary, they beat Ferrari in a fair and square battle, not including the missed tactics from the Maranello team, and Russell scored his first career pole position. That is why the team's hopes for a first win was so high, but after the Singapore GP, it's evident that these hopes went down. The team brought an array of upgrades for the Singapore GP because it was evident that they struggle a lot when the F1 caravan visits city circuits. Such were the cases in Azerbaijan and Monaco. True, in Azerbaijan, both Mercedes drivers finished P3 and P4, but only after both Ferrari drivers retired due to reliability issues. As for Monaco, Hamilton finished P9 only to be promoted to P8 after Ocon's penalty, while Russell finished P5. According to Mike Elliott, Mercedes' technical director, the Singapore GP was the best shot that the team had in a long time when it comes to the first season win. He really believed that the upgrades the team brought will bring them closer to the top, and if we are to judge by the qualifying session on Sunday, Hamilton was just plus 0.050 seconds away from Leclerc, who won the pole position. In a race that saw Verstappen qualifying P8, Hamilton did have a decent chance of scoring his first win of the season and the first team's win of the season. Nevertheless, this race was one that the team has to forget quickly. According to him, the rain in Singapore revealed an issue that Mercedes has struggled a lot with this year. It's something that many teams have had as a problem, but it seems like Mercedes has struggled a lot when it comes to this particular problem. Want to find out what this issue was and why was Hamilton so aggravated about it? Continue watching to find out, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and like our video. The Singapore GP is always going to take its toll on the drivers. The humidity goes well over 80%, which could have a massive influence on the driver's concentration and decision making. On top of that, there was heavy rain on the track, and the race start was delayed by 1 hour and 5 minutes. After the delay, there wasn't any rain, and the track started to dry up slowly but surely. However, we've seen champions making mistakes here on Sunday, and that was the case with both Hamilton and Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton was overtaken by Sainz at the very start of the race, and on lap 33, when he was pushing for the overtake, hit the barriers and lost around 15 seconds of lead he had ahead of Norris and Verstappen. What was even more concerning for him is that he had to visit the pit lane to get his front wing changed, an outcome that saw him finishing P9 in that race. When talking about the race outcome, Hamilton said, "I'm not going to punish myself for one mistake. I think it was very tricky conditions for everyone. I think our car, whatever the problems that we have with it, magnified in the rain. It's a very, very hard car to drive in the rain. The car had its moments this weekend for sure, but it was not too bad. It's been hit and miss with the car, but I think there were positives to take from the weekend. It's just a shame not to get many points for the team." But this isn't a problem that Mercedes had throughout the season, right? Hamilton was able to keep the car on track at almost every event we've visited so far, except for Austria, where he crashed during the qualifying session. No, the problem that Mercedes has revolves around the tires, more precisely the temperature of the tires. We all know that in order for your car to perform good, you need to have a good temperature on your tires. When the weather is wet, the surface on the track is colder, and that prevents the tire from heating as fast as when the track is dry. Therefore, the track will be much more challenging because the driver will need more laps in order to bring those tires and brake duct to the optimal working temperature. According to Hamilton, the rain in Singapore just magnified the Mercedes' problems that they had constantly throughout the 2022 season, which revolve around the tire temperature. Heard him saying on the radio, "I told you about these tires, you should just listen to me next time," as he alluded to the team using new intermediate tires while he specifically asked for used ones. It took several laps for temperatures to come up, and we can't fire our tires up as quick as the others for some reason on wet and dries, and we don't really understand why, added Hamilton. You already know that Mercedes isn't going to be happy after the Singapore GP, and part of that goes to the fact that they had an amazing tempo throughout the free practice sessions and the qualifying ones, if you take Hamilton for example. But the race itself didn't work out for the Silver Arrows, with Russell having his second race of the season to finish outside of the points. On top of that, Hamilton's overtake pass on Vettel saw him going wide and losing addition to Verstappen, which cost him additional 2 points in the championship fight with Ferrari. Toto Wolff also spoke about the difficult day that Mercedes had at the Marina Bay circuit, as he added, "This season has given us several tough lessons, and today was another one. We started from the opposite ends of the grid with our two cars, but we couldn't capitalize on the car's race pace with either of them when it came to an end result. Lewis was fighting for the podium for much of the race, but also battling a car balance that was on a knife edge today in difficult conditions and on the bumpy surface. After he locked up and damaged the wing, the stop to change tires and the hose cost him position. Then he lost out even more when cars ahead pitted under safety car and jumped ahead. That left him stuck in a train of cars on a very similar aged tires, and he couldn't make up any ground. With that being said, it's evident that Mercedes struggled a lot, even with Russell having a very challenging race after starting from the pit lane. What do you think about the Brackley-based team? Do you think they have a chance of having their first career win in the upcoming 5 races? Let us know in the comments below.